Hi, today I'm going to share with you the second fatal mistake that sabotages high performance and exactly why you must avoid this at all cost. And then I'm going to give you a really simple 3-step process to make sure that you avoid this mistake. Now, mistake number 2 is being super hard or unkind to yourself. I don't know whether you are, but it is really common. In most of my clients that I work with, they're all hard on themselves. Now, the problem with this is our thoughts create feelings. So every thought we have releases a chemical and we feel it. So when you're unkind to yourself, you're not going to feel great, which means you're not going to be as confident. Your self-esteem is going to suffer. The image of who you think you are and what you're capable of doing will be diminished. And as how we feel impacts our behaviors and our actions, you're not always going to take the best actions. So on the other side of the coin, when you think positively and you speak kindly to yourself, you're going to feel better and you're probably going to take better actions, will get you different results. Now, there's been a lot of research on the power of negative thinking and health and productivity and self-esteem. Now, in the groundbreaking book by Maxwell Maltz called Cybernetics, he was a plastic surgeon and he did a lot of work on people that didn't like themselves. So he fixed up their noses or parts of their face so that they were all beautiful. But interestingly, most of the people who he did work on still didn't see themselves as beautiful or attractive. And that's because we see ourselves as we believe we are. They still believed at the level of identity that they weren't good or they weren't attractive. So despite changing their appearance, it didn't help them change. And he came up with the fact that we have an inner thermostat for our identity that keeps us stuck at the current level of our identity and who we feel and think that we are. Now, when you start to change your conceptions of yourself, you can obviously shift how you perceive yourself. And you can imagine that if you don't like who you are or you're super hard on yourself, you're not going to achieve the performance and the success that you want. A second fascinating study, which Martin Seligman wrote about in his book Learned Optimism, came from a convent. Now, new nuns were asked to write down a letter about how they viewed their life in the convent. 50 years later, the letters were looked at in the context of how long the nuns had lived, and the findings were amazing. People who had written negatively about their experience had shorter lifespans than those people who wrote positive letters. So Martin Seligman said that they took this trait with them throughout their life, and their negative mindset and negative thinking reduced their lifespan. And as I said earlier, there's been massive research to endorse the power of our thoughts and how it impacts our health negatively. So the first thing that you must do is you must start to observe your thoughts with no judgment. Don't argue with yourself or beat yourself up because you're being unkind to yourself. Simply observe them. Observing them is key because our thoughts often are now habits, and habits are run out of our conscious awareness. And as we have 50 to 70,000 thoughts every day, and most of them are negative, you possibly or probably have a lot of unkind thoughts about yourself. So apart from stop it, observe. Observing helps you become aware of them, and we can only change with awareness. The second thing to do is to release that negative thought. Just observe it and then release it. Now, you may like to have a visual and imagine it floating away like a cloud, steam evaporating, or a puff. Whatever works for you, imagine releasing it. And the third and most important step that you have to do after 1 and 2 is replace that thought with something better, a positive thought. So when you replace the thought, and you do it consistently, you ultimately rewire your brain. So you're rewiring with a positive thought that eventually will become a habit. And before you know it, you will have much more positive thinking, positive thoughts that have become habits. You're going to feel better. You'll be more confident. You'll be able to have more courage to take action. You'll feel better about yourself. You'll champion yourself, and the whole world shifts when your focus is being kind and towards what you want. So I hope you take something from that. Make sure that you're kind to yourself. Remember, observe, release, and replace. Be your own best friend and speak to yourself you would a friend, not unkindly, because it diminishes performance, self-esteem, confidence, self-belief, and it also impacts your health negatively. So be a champion of yourself and speak positively. Bye for now. Mandy, Mindset for Success. Please share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Bye.